Welcome back to the silence challenge, where we are delving into silence, learning together to expand our window of tolerance for sitting quietly for a few minutes and reading about what Erling Kagge has to say about the topic of silence. Today we're up to day 24, chapter 24, and we're going to sit together for almost 4 minutes, 3 minutes 50 seconds. Take a deep breath, have a stretch, prepare yourself for the silence. Today we're talking about music and the silence between the notes in the music. It is common in music to have an absence of sound. It's an adventure listening to the compositions of Ludwig van Beethoven. But it is the caesure, the pauses between the notes, the silence between the noises of the instruments, which are my favourite. That's when I am stirred awake. Science has shown that such intervals are what generate the intense, positive, neural activity that we experience. That is my experience as well. It's not only the notes, it's Beethoven's sudden silences that stir the mind and create a spark in your head. He understood that when we are exposed to silence, our minds and thoughts expand outwards. Miles Davis, the trumpet player and poet of loneliness, understood this too. In a musical genre full of festivity and extroversion, Davis became respected for the dramatic silences in his performances. The notes he chose not to play were as meaningful as those he did. At the end of his concerts, when the music ended, there was a sudden moment of silence before the applause. It felt as if your brain shifted gears. Beethoven, as is well known, eventually went completely deaf. This development liberated a deep originality within him and a spirit of freedom. He composed his 9th symphony using the sounds existing solely within his head. During the premiere of the piece, he stood with his back to the audience in order to conduct the orchestra. After the music was over, he had to turn around to see whether the audience was clapping or booing. Not only were they clapping, their enthusiasm and cheers were so overwhelming that the Vienna police had to be called to restore peace and order. Late in life, Beethoven composed works that were far too advanced for the audiences attending his concerts. Beethoven's pieces for string quartet were so modern that his contemporaries believed the music must be the result of an old man's madness. 100 years later, when they were listened to again, the Beethoven quartets were hailed as masterpieces. The composer John Cage, in his Lecture on Nothing, which has been an inspiration to me, cited the composer Claude Debussy on his method of composing. I take all the notes there are, leave out the ones I don't want, and use all the others. That blows your mind, doesn't it? I take all the notes there are, leave out the ones I don't want, and use all the others. That is kind of how geniuses think. It's been said, like Michelangelo's David, it was already there in the block of stone, and he just removed the excess. So like, it's a similar concept, isn't it? After that, Cage removed all of the tones in his piece 433 and created his silence for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Audiences adore this piece of silence even today. There you see, and we're getting it here, almost 4 minutes of silence. Or rather, the silence minus the noises that the audience makes as they try to stay quiet. Cage had many deep intellectual thoughts about silence. It's worthwhile listening to him on YouTube. So that's John Cage. I'll look him up. But I tend to think about silence as a practical method for uncovering answers to the intriguing puzzle that is yourself, and for helping to gain new perspective on whatever is hiding beyond the horizon. This is where, this book is tapping in and linking into yoga really, and meditation, and where we are meant to find enlightenment, bliss, and true everlasting peace is in the silence. It is in the space between the thoughts. You can also listen through your jaw. After the inventor Thomas Edison, who was also deaf, came up with the phonograph, the predecessor to the record player, he had to lean over the player and bite into the woodwork that comprised the edge of the apparatus. That way, he was able to feel the vibrations through his jaws. I bite the teeth in the wood, good and hard, and then I get it good and strong, he said. As well as being his sole method of feeling his own invention, it was the only way he could enjoy the music. So, we ready to take our own almost 4 minutes of silence? Have a stretch, a yawn, a sigh. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And let us begin. There we have it. 3 minutes, 50 seconds. I kind of got into that zone then of quietness and meditation and reflection, and thought it'd be funny if I actually fell asleep and it was way past the time that I'd allotted and still was there. And then you'd be like left floundering for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let me know if you took part today all the way to the end and if you enjoyed the silence and any takeaways that you've got. What's your favourite quote from today's reading? What landed with you? What resonated? And I will see you again tomorrow for tomorrow's instalment. Bye for now.